Hi, I'm Bill Patton with 720 Degree Coaching, and it's my pleasure to have on the show today Scott Mitchell, a well-noted tennis industry leader. And you're on Instagram and Facebook Live, you're not really going to see him, but maybe Scott will share this on his page when he gets the notification, hint, hint. But,
Absolutely.
So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on, and we've got some words of advice for people, and one of them is we want to talk about the redundancy of what's happening right now. So then we're going to shift to positivity, and then we'll see where that takes the conversation. So Scott, why don't you address a little bit about what's been redundant in the conversations surrounding our current situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of everything. So it's, you're getting people that are jumping on, and this quick statement's a little bit of what we'll talk about, but, the sky's falling and, we need to figure out what's going to go on. But you're also getting people talking about, the tennis industry is not going to be the same. And, and then you see the videos are going out, people posting videos of stroke production and here's what you can do and bouncing the ball. Here's all the stuff that you can do at home, which I think is great. And I think there's a need for that. But, the redundancy that you talked about is that's all we're seeing. So whenever I do something or put out a video or do a Facebook Live, I'm one of those people who, even with a club, it's great if we have an issue, but we've got to come up with a solution too. So I'm not one that is talking about the skies falling as much as I say, look, we're in a mess, but this is a perfect opportunity for us to start to plan, right? So if you're a pro, what does it look like with your lessons, and not only just what are you going to teach, but how are you getting people back out on the court? This is a perfect opportunity for you to market yourself, right? So there's a whole slew of people out there that you already teach, but there's a bunch more out there that you don't. And tennis, as we know from research, is a great health benefit for adults. It's got a lot of different key characteristic elements for the kids. How are you going to market that to get a whole new group of people that are coming out? If you're at a facility, this is a great opportunity for you to assess all the areas of your facility that you've always talked about that we should be doing. Lights are burned out or paint or whatever it would be. We've had issues with the drainage of the court. It's great social distancing when you're out on the court and looking at the drainage system by yourself. But these are the opportunities that I think that people should be looking into, rather than just going and doing videos of trying to keep your members engaged that way. But how often are you sending out a video or communication out to them to just let them know, hey, everything's okay. Facility's still here. Your membership is safe. I've seen some clubs that are doing a great job of sending out communication to members that say, hey, we're still, our top managers at the facility are still working hard to make sure that the facility is ready for you when it comes open. Would you still engage with us with holding, paying your membership, even at a discounted rate, rather than just closing everything?
And I gotta get in there. I want to on that from the consumer standpoint. So, and I think that this story, hopefully it helps people, but my wife and I joined a little swim club, and it had 2 tennis courts, and I actually ended up teaching tennis there a little bit later, but you wouldn't call it a swim and tennis because nobody played tennis. So,
right.
So we joined this club strictly because my daughter wanted to be on the swim team. And it was one way you assured yourself getting on the swim team. So, it was a club. So our first or second summer there was an earthquake and it ruined the pool.
Oof.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're paying a pretty large sum of money for an entire summer season, April through October, to swim with no pool.
Right.
And the swim team's been diverted to the local university. So we all have to trek out. We have to leave to drive out a half an hour, an hour round trip to get to all that. So huge pain in the butt, right? And then not only that, but now they charged us a building, what's the word when you have a special project and
An assessment?
Assessment.
Yeah.
And you know what though? We didn't love that. I almost said we loved that, but we didn't love that. But we were all on board. We were 100% on board because we saw, all right, what's going to be the net result of that? We're going to have a brand new pool.
Yep.
Instead of a 50-year-old pool.
Right.
So so it was hard, but now I think there are a lot of people like me out there. You don't realize you have this silent majority of people who will suck it up and get on board with what you're doing. And a lot of times what happens is the people who are going to do all the complaining, those are the ones that leave.
Right.
Oh, it was a big flea flicker.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway.
Well, so these are what you bring up is, to tag on that is a great opportunity for places. I literally just talked to somebody yesterday that reached out to me from a homeowners association. She was the president and was struggling with some of the things that were going on within their community and their courts and how the men's groups are handling certain situations. And this is a great opportunity for homeowners associations to get together via WhatsApp or Skype or whatever you want to do, committees, your boards, tennis center committees, of starting to put a plan together of, yes, the pool now has a huge crack in it. We need to meet to decide what are our next steps, right? Are we, because people don't, a lot of places, it's amazing that a lot of places don't understand what membership dues cover, right? And like at private clubs, a lot of times, you'll do a tennis event and members they'll feel that their dues cover this event that you put on, where the dues actually cover these capital projects that you're doing. It covers your overhead. At private clubs, usually 60, 70, or 80% of the dues covers operating expenses in some form in your overhead, where at other clubs, maybe at a community club, tennis center or something, should cover at least 50%. If they're below that, I mean, that's where you need to reach out to your membership. Please still pay your membership because we have these projects that the committee has listed out that we are thinking of doing. But yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunities for, if it's a club or just a single pro on their own, to the HOAs is, get communication going and figure out what you do about this pool. Are we going to fix it, or are we going to tear it down and do something else? So.
Okay, all right, excellent. And so, the topic is redundancy. So the idea here is, I hope that we're talking about something that people haven't already been talking about a lot. So, so that's our goal here. Now, here's an interesting thing. When you were talking, you reminded me of Stephen Covey and the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And there's a really key piece in there, the difference between production and production capability. Right. So right now, production is almost zero. So we now have an opportunity to work on our production capability. Should we let Amanda Fink in here?
Sure.
All right. Amanda, welcome. You're on the phone here on Zoom with Scott Mitchell. And the topic at the moment is we're discussing two things. Messages that are not redundant. Because right now we're getting a lot of redundancy. We're getting a lot of the sky is falling, everything's failing, wah, 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 problem, right? And not a lot of solutions. And so right now what we've been talking about is, okay, it's an opportunity to kind of like get to work on the physical plant of your club, all right? So at this point, if you wanted to like make this private and we'd help you with something at your club that you don't want to discuss on Facebook Live or on YouTube, I'll give you that option. Can you hear me?
Who? Can I hear you? I can hear you.
Hey, Amanda.
Hi, Scott.
Not here. Give me something. So Amanda, thanks. So so what are some of the things that you guys are doing at your club now with your situation? What is the situation at your club? Is there anybody playing tennis?
The situation at my particular club is that staff is not there giving lessons or providing classes or anything, but members are still able to walk on the courts themselves as long as they practice social distancing and all the things that we're supposed to be doing. The golf course is the same. So there's nobody there, to help people. I think that the golf course maintenance staff is still there, just maintaining the course. But other than that, it's just member open play, and that's about it. So staff isn't really accessible to members. So all we've been able to do really is email content, which I know has gotten probably over the past couple weeks with people probably slightly overwhelming, because it seems to be the only medium that staff usually has to stay in touch with members, and it's really hard to get around otherwise. But like I said, I bet people are now starting to be bombarded with many emails. So I bet that is getting redundant after a while, I imagine.
Okay. So do you and your staff, does your director have a plan for what to do to take advantage of the dead time on court and to build something different?
I don't think any of us, quite honestly, have a plan at the moment. I think everyone is still a little overwhelmed, quite honestly. I think our club is at the moment just trying to figure out how to take care of their employees and the club so it can reopen when it comes time. So we haven't really done a whole lot in the planning for that. I mean, I personally am more responsible for member correspondence. So I've been sending an email, text to members every once in a while, just checking in. I'm honestly giving links, like I've been following Joel Meyer's Instagram interviews, as well as what you're doing, and what Evan Perry's doing, and interviewing some really interesting people. So I've been giving my members the links and handles to follow those people to stay engaged.
So that's a great example of that, is share this stuff around. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So for me, I mean, as soon as I heard pandemic, I was like, okay, it's time to ramp up the Facebook lives and the video stuff and engage with other people's stuff. And then, I mean, just yesterday with the announcement that now we're going through April 30th at least, with the same orders, and that they're thinking that maybe we'll reach the top of the curve. It's okay. So is everybody enjoying the heating up of the water sound in the background?
I don't notice.
It was a cat again. I wasn't sure.
Yeah. So why even talk about it? Why bring attention? Okay. Anyway, but no, they're talking about the possibility that we're going to reach the top of the curve around Easter, which is I think reassuring. So anyway, but we've got a solid month of much the same, and some parts of the country are actually going to be entering into the stay-at-home order vortex that I've been in for now going on 4 weeks. So yesterday it really kicked in. I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna start having a Zoom call every day this week on a different topic. After I hang up with this, I'm going to be having an interview with Emma Doyle, so I'm expecting her to be outstanding, and I think she's going to have some really good stuff. So what are some other things that we can be doing, and what are some things that people could, besides the, get your extra skills and all that stuff, what's some creative stuff that people can use this time to do?
Well, one of the things that, and Amanda, coming back to your comment is, right now, yes, I think everybody's kind of, they're worried about what's going to happen. The pros are worried even if they're going to have a job or courts to go to. But you also want to remember, and a lot of people don't know what to do with their time right now, right? So that we started the first few days and gung-ho, and now they're just kind of, but the one thing that I always talk to staffs about, and one thing that we have to remember is that other than the teaching aspect, so when you're thinking about your members or your customers, other than just making sure that you can teach them lessons and all that kind of stuff that comes along with it, there's an emotional bank account that we've got to look at too, right? So when you talk about the videos, yes, I think information going out to them on what's happening at the club or what to expect, or the forwarding of the video links, I think that's great and you should continue to do it. but maybe get the staff to do some fun stuff too that maybe not even tennis related, right? So a day in the life of Amanda would probably be something that your members go, that was really pretty cool, right? So the deposit into the emotional side is what we need to make sure that we're doing, just as much as them learning about the new forehand that you've been working on forever with them, that they heard from Bill in a different way. Like, wow, this is great. And you're like, I've been doing this for months with you, right? Fun videos, the day in the lives, things that, like one of the things that we do is like fast 5 questions, right? Where I would call Bill and say, hey, Bill, we're just going to get on real quick. I'm going to videotape you and I'm going to do fast 5 questions with you. And I'd go, you know, something like, if you had to go on vacation, mountains or beach? And then he'd give an answer. And then I'd say,
two things. Scott, hey.
All of that stuff, right? So
hold on. So go on YouTube and look up Roger Federer 73 questions.
Oh, geez.
Do 73 questions in 73 minutes. So
yeah.
They have a question, he's got a minute to answer. It is fascinating. And so
those are the kind of things your members would love that stuff, right? There's stuff that you don't know about, that they don't know about you, they would love to know. Continue, like I said, continue to do the updates, always important, but maybe when an update is something new, hey, we've spent our time as a staff over the last couple of weeks redesigning our adult programs, right? That's what they would be interested, but just continue to think about not only the instructional pieces or the updates, but what can we do to deposit into that emotional bank account that really keep the members engaged and ready to come back when the time comes.
Yep. Okay. So here's another one. I mean, and that was funny because anytime I've ever been a guest coach somewhere, I usually am the guy that's teaching the thing that the other guy or gal has been teaching forever. And the people go, right, this, and then the home pro gets pissed because it's like, right? But they're like, Bill is genius. And I'm like, no, you should listen to Simon better than that.
Well, you just said it a little bit differently than they did, and that's why it clicked.
And see, but there's value in education in that way. Yep. Sure. Now, here's a challenge I want to put out, because look who's on the call. Amanda Fink, who just yesterday figured out how to use it.
Okay, I've used Zoom, just not on my phone. Please stop making fun of me.
Oh, that's funny.
So here's my challenge to you out there. Okay, first, get up in the morning and shave and put your clothes on. All right. Don't be you, mopey person. Get out of your jammies and off your face. Okay. Yep. So the second thing is learn a new tech thing every day during this time. One new little tech thing. Find out more about gadgets. Find out more about software and apps. Engage with Zoom or something. So get engaged with that and start your own little thing. So here's a funny thing. Yesterday, my adult daughter, who's 22, had a virtual party. Engage with her college friends, right? So they're on a video chat app, and they're imbibing and having a fun time. So these kind of we can do social stuff with our people also. Have a sip and serve on Zoom.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm actually doing that on Sunday. So we Sip and Serve has a Facebook group. So we're gonna go. The other coach that is running the program with me at Balboa is going to go live with me on Sunday in front of that group just to check in, see what's going on, answer questions. So yeah, that'll be interesting new territory for me, but it should be fun.
Yeah. No, that's a great idea.
Yeah, and it might be good to tune in to some of the home tennis ideas and share those out in that format, because a lot of times people will have heard it for the first time. Maybe get your racket out and do ups, downs, and flip flops, right? Edgies up, down.
I think I've been staying away from some of that just because there's so. I've noticed in the past, just because kind of like the emails, there's a lot of content, and I'm so happy there is. There's just a lot of content going on right now, so I don't want to again, just kind of like emails. I don't want to over flood things. But I know
Right.
my members are probably looking for me, and I get that. So I need to come out from under my rock.
You could seek feedback then. You could go, hey, of the email, what resonated with you? And get them to share out, because when they share out, then they're actually becoming the teacher. And again, people might learn it because somebody went, oh yeah, I remember that email, but I didn't really understand it. And now that Suzette said it, now I understand, right?
Right.
Now that Margot explained it.
Yeah, I mean, what you bring up though, Bill, is a really good point, right? So, sharing information with the members is one thing, but making sure that you're listening to them as well. So maybe Amanda, you all put together a listening session, and you invite your membership to jump on a Zoom call or whatever, and you can do a couple different ways. You can keep it open-ended, which I probably wouldn't recommend, or find a topic. Right. So anybody that's interested in our junior programs, we're going to do a listening session from 11 to 12 tomorrow. So any information that they have, what's working, what's not, the direction they wish it was coming. If you want to do 2 topics, maybe that would be the most I would recommend you do. But the key would be is you do a listening session, get them to speak. And even if it doesn't last an hour and it's 20 minutes, at least you've given them the opportunity to say, hey, wow, that group is actually listening to what we have to say about the programs, good or bad. And then you knock out 3 or 4 different topics. It could even, like we talked about earlier, could even be facility, a piece about the facilities. What don't you like? What could we be doing better about the facilities as well? So I think that's a great thing that you mentioned, Bill, is to get it through that way as well.
Now I'm getting out the fork. Have you seen or have you seen?
Is that kind of like the hook? So when somebody's talking too much, you like use the fork?
So, Frankenstein is a really good story, and Frankenstein is why you wouldn't want to form a committee. Because I'll tell you what, if you're going to do what you're asking, I would do it one-on-one. Hey, let's get on a Zoom call. I want to hear you out one at a time. Because if you get this 20-person thing and then somebody asks for something that's totally unrealistic, and then everybody else is like, yeah, right? Then they're coming with their torches and their spears.
Yeah, I mean, there's good and bad with it, right? So, and you have to be able to, so if you do, so I recommend doing listening sessions. You don't do them very often. Like this, Amanda, this could be your only time doing it, right? But you would be surprised. You have to make sure that you guide it. You have to limit what's happening, right? So if you're going to mention something negative, it has to be respectful. You limit time. Right. So if you're going to make a point, you get 30 seconds, you don't get 10 minutes. And you are the one that leads that, so that if Bill is the only one that's chiming in because he's got a beef with me, that, hey, Bill, that's great. I need to let Amanda have some time. So there's definitely an art to it. But if you want to make sure that you're hearing everything from them, you want to try to do, and I ask a lot of the clubs that I work with now, is to be, put your helmet on, put your shield on, be ready to go to battle, but listen to them. There's so much information that if you go through the listening sessions correctly, that's why I say have a topic, don't just, so you're only getting the people who know about the juniors. You don't just say, hey, let's talk about the club. Because you will get a gazillion different people talking about all sorts of stuff, and you want it to be very structured. You could limit it. So, Bill, to answer your question, yeah, we're taking the first 10 that jump on.
Here's a best practice. Don't do this. Don't say, well, Amanda, I can tell you're really passionate about this, but
right.
Because I mean, so you really have to be careful how you affirm their feedback. Yeah. And I would just go, hey, I'm hearing what you're saying, and we're taking everything under advisement.
Yep. Well, and one of the things that you can do to keep out of the getting into the mud is you write down. So you'll have a whiteboard behind you or something where you're just writing down the items that they mentioned, right? So what you're looking to do is get information from them, not to have a combative conversation, right?
Right.
So does anybody have, about the program in general, or about the structure, the classes and the days and the times? And so you're just writing those down, where you then will tell them that instead of having a long drawn out, maybe combative conversation, we're just going to take the information, then we're going to meet as a team and come up with some solutions for you and then get back to you, right? So
And then
that
what
came
you
out of
do,
that, like you talked about.
and you can write the dumb ideas down at the bottom.
Yep. I hope you can see all of this. Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good idea. I feel like that members more than anything just appreciate being listened to, even if their ideas aren't going to be the ones going through, as long as you've acknowledged that you hear them and you understand where they're coming from. You can put, the counterpoints together effectively. I think listening sessions are great. I agree that that's a very good idea.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, and I've had listening sessions where I have actually been ripped apart by a member that then we end up becoming very close because she knows that I've listened to her, and she's able to come right to me, even though it was probably one of the most uncomfortable things in front of about 150 people, but it brought that relationship closer very quickly. So you just, if you're going to do it, like Bill said, maybe limit it, right? I'm going to do a WhatsApp call, and I'm going to take the first 10 people that email me back, and we're going to just do a WhatsApp call. So you can limit it too.
That
makes sense.
I know. I really think that that's amazing. And so I think the great lesson there is don't fear opposition, and assume that you can reach someone who's been oppositional up until that time. And so one thing I was saying early on, take the list of people you will reach out to and flip it upside down and call the people that you least want to call first. Call them on Monday, and then let the people
call them on Monday.
Call them on Monday, and let the other people that you like figure out that they were called on Thursday. Because if you do it the other way around, you're just calling it upon yourself. All right, let's switch the conversation a little bit more to the topic of positivity and negativity. I mean, so all the way over here is pie in the sky, nothing changes. I'm always perfect, impervious, nothing's ever wrong in my world, and then over here is the sky is falling, and, and the USTA, and that whole negativity thing of sniping from the sidelines. So how do we navigate that and, bring people from here over to there a little bit more?
I think, like I said earlier, I'm one of those people that I know, this is tough. This is tough for everybody, not just in our industry. I had a good email from somebody that's very, very high up at the USTA just in the last couple of days, and is able to make these decisions and changes. And, they mentioned three things, 2 or 3 things that where their focus is, and one of them that was up there right at the top, if not at the very top of their focus right now, is making sure that facilities and tennis pros are taken care of. That wasn't a surprise. I mean, I guess it was a little bit, just because everybody's talking about everything else, but for somebody that high up to say that and mention that that's where their focus is right now, is as us that are driving this industry, was really, really reassuring. And hopefully for those pros out there, makes us start to think that, hey, even what you feel about the USTA, if they're doing the right things or wrong things, at least they have the correct, the focus right now is in line. And so with that, yes, it's going to be different than, everything's going to be different than what it was 2 months ago. So instead of thinking, hey, should I be looking for a different job or whatever, and that may be what some of us end up unfortunately having to do, start planning. You know, and so start if you focus your energy on, you know, okay, if things open up, or what am I going to do with my lessons, or I was doing 30 hours a week before this happened, and you know, I'm going to view it as I have 0 hours. What am I going to do to try to drive that? If you start focusing your energy in a positive way and being prepared, so when all of us get out of this, hopefully in early June, you know, that's what our hope is. We have a plan. But I'm talking to so many people right now that are just so down and upset, and the sky is falling. And all I keep trying to do is say, okay, we don't know what it's going to look like. But the one thing that we can control is how we handle it right now. So if you're in front of members and they are seeing you act that way, that's not going to paint a good picture. But what happens if all of a sudden June 1st comes up and we're ready to roll? And now all these things that you could have been doing over the last 6-8 weeks, you didn't do. Now what? So I'm one of those that, yes, it's not good, but let's plan and have a solution. So if it does, maybe it is looking for a different job. But you know what's interesting is you're seeing a lot of job postings still going out. There's still a lot of clubs out there looking for pros. So maybe that's your option.
I saw no less than 5 really solid seasonal jobs in the East available. Okay, so a friend of mine, I was in a bad spot at one point, and I called a friend of mine to tell him, you know, how horrible everything was, and I was just...
Amanda, are you vacuuming all of a sudden?
I know, my husband is.
All right.
He's planning.
There's one like that. You can mute yourself. It's okay. So
Yeah.
All right.
I didn't expect it.
So this good friend of mine, he said, well, remember, Bill, misery is optional. So part of it is, what are you signing up for? Have you signed up for misery, or have you signed up for having a plan?
Right.
So, yeah, if you don't have a plan right now, make your plan right now. I mean, this is something I feel like over the years I've grown to the point where as soon as I sense a crisis, I get to work now and shift immediately towards solutions. And so, so that's why, you know, this is why you're going to see a lot of these Zoom calls this week. To try to meet people at a time when they might be signing up for misery. So, Amanda, what do you got for us on the positivity thing? Because you're like one of the most positive in life ever.
Thank
you. The vacuum's going.
We got a lot going on. But I mean, from my viewpoint, I think this is going to take on all of our parts a lot of understanding. I think the elements that Bill referenced to about, you know, the USTA and, you know, the people in pitchforks and all that stuff. It's just, you know, we are all going through this together, and no one's really in a much better boat than the other right now. And as long as we are patient, which is, I realize, really, really difficult when, you know, it's your livelihood, your job. But to know that we're all in it together, you know, to be able to be understanding of the fact that this is new and no one really knows how to handle this yet, that, you know, that people are making an effort to figure it out, but it is going to take time. I think that's actually the most important thing right now, to be understanding with, you know, the USTA and the airlines and all these entities that are big and should have plans for something like this. They don't, because they haven't seen it. And I'm sure now that they will when we get out of this. But until we get out, everything kind of, you know, we kind of have to focus on putting out the immediate fires and being able to level things out. And then when this does clear out, then we can all look at it from the outside and be able to figure out what went right, what went wrong, what could be better. But while we're in it, everyone just has to have an immense amount of patience and be able to understand all the sides of the story between, you know, and at the club level, between what, you know, the pros going through for what the club's going through. There's a lot of, you know, pros obviously that are really upset that they can't be at work, but, you know, you have to understand, you know, the liability and obviously the public safety issues that the club is going through. It's a lot. And so they're hurting as much as we are. And it's really important to be understanding of that in the process.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and I want to shift it now to that, because you kind of brought this to the silver lining. And I think one of the major things is maybe now people will take the flu much more seriously. I mean, because one thing I really despise is people who send their kids to school sick to make other kids sick. I mean, you know, this is as a high school coach, you know, I've seen this a lot. You know, kids come to practice sick. I'm like, what are you doing here? Get out of here, right? And oh, you were at school all day today and you're just like, and you've got 101-degree fever? What is your problem, right? But see, so hopefully this is the beginning of the end of the fear of missing out, and you only live once, because really, you know, you can't put other people at risk because of your right to have an experience.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, we're probably going to take things less for granted and yeah, then take them a lot more seriously and appreciate the time that we are doing well and feeling, you know, well and able to be on a court, that people are going to be much more appreciative of it. Hopefully
sure.
my kids will put in a little more effort.
Yeah. So what are some of the other silver lining things?
The networking. I mean, I don't think we've seen as much networking between professionals, between clients as we have during this time. Being able to stay, you know, this close and to be able to share this many ideas, this many new ideas, I think has been huge. And I think it's been something that in the tennis industry we've been talking about for a long time, is how do we keep pros engaged? How do we stay connected? And it's unfortunate that it took us all not being able to work, but it did to some extent bring a lot of us together, if anything, just to reconnect and say, hi, how are you? So for me, since I'm a big proponent of that, I think that's been a silver lining, is being able to have us as an industry be able to come together and just connect in general.
Yeah. And so that's why I'm going to be doing this, you know, every day this week on different topics, you know. So we're going to be doing one on high school tennis, one on how to teach better tennis, best practices of teaching tennis. Ken DeHart and I might do one on match play and the spin of the ball. Maybe we'll start book clubs.
Fun.
Book clubs. I love it.
So, no, but that's a great point. So we can connect on certain topics of interest, because if it's just a general, you know, blah, 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 and 20 people are all talking about 20 different things, that's not as helpful as we start cutting it up and putting it in, you know, in the right delivery system. So.
Yeah, and I think what you're doing by having the different topics is exactly what, you know, our first topic here, right, is the redundancy, is you know, we're going to talk about all these different topics. And I think that keeps people engaged. And to kind of tag on what Amanda said is we're finding out ways to communicate with people in different ways, in different forms, and how often that we haven't done very well in our industry for a long time. You know, and hopefully there's pros out there. You know, I know so many pros that we're so busy that we're on the court for 8 hours or whatever it is a day. And those lessons that we don't get to touch base with because we're on to the next lesson, this is a great time to be communicating with them, sending quick emails and just checking in. I've sent a gazillion text messages to people throughout this time just to say, hey, I'm just checking in to see how you're doing. How's the family? Is everybody safe and healthy? Stuff like that we haven't done, we take for granted.
You know, that's a great point. And 2 times in my career, I've replaced a director of tennis who taught too much tennis.
Right. Yeah.
And so they weren't available. And so then I had a staff that I inherited, and they were mad at me because I wasn't on the court more. And I'm like, right. Yeah, sorry, but yeah, I'm doing the director of tennis job.
Yep.
So,
yeah, I mean, because if you're not communicating, they're feeling like, you know, you're just taking their money, you're just doing a lesson, and that's all you want. And then they really need that connection piece. And what we're finding out, what Amanda said, is we're finding that out. I think a lot of us in the industry knew we needed to connect more and in different constituents and organizations. But I think there's a lot of us that are really seeing the benefits of being able to do so that we kind of forgot about as well. I mean, I can't tell you the last time I saw Amanda, or I mean, well, Bill, you and I have talked a couple times now, but there's people that I've talked to and stayed in touch with now that have been just a quick, hey, I saw your Facebook post, where now we're actually having a conversation. That just goes a long way, not only in the industry, but with your members.
Yeah, and that's a fascinating thing, because I just went through this webinar where they were talking about what are the emerging trends in social media. And so what you said speaks to that, because now social media is morphing into conversations. So you'll master your social media better if you're ready for when somebody gives you a comment and then you say, hey, can we take this offline and make it can I call you? Can we get on a 5 to 10 minute call?
Yeah.
And who's the master of that is Sterling Strother. Sterling is always ahead of the curve on everything.
Yeah.
So, but no, he for years has been telling me, oh yeah, whenever there's any kind of misunderstanding or conflict, I call them.
Right.
Direct.
Well, and when it comes to communication, either just in general with us or within our industry and your members, we've come full circle, right? I mean, it used to be we'd always call people and check in, hey, do you want to do a lesson tomorrow? Then it became email, and then people were, I had 300 emails a day. There's no way I didn't see your email. Then people went to texting, which now everybody's going to texting. So then people were doing texting and emails, and now we're almost back to it's just best to just call. So it's come full circle for sure.
Yes. All right. So I have a hard stop at 9. So we're actually going to be done here in just a couple of minutes. Any last thoughts about the kind of the positivity, negativity continuum, and how do we get people more positive? Because I think those were all practical things about how to become more positive. Anything else?
I mean, from my end, Amanda, I don't know if you have anything as well, but just from my end, I mean, I think, you just like you said, is get up in the day, in the morning, at the beginning of the day, get up, change, shave, shower, whatever you normally do on your day-to-day business is how you should treat this. If you start laying around in your pajamas and doing all that kind of stuff, it just leads to being depressed, right? So get up every day, have a plan. What does your cup say?
Oh, it's the Walking Dead mug.
Walking Dead. I couldn't see it. It blends in with your background.
I was in Atlanta and I got to visit the place where they filmed that, and that was like a bucket list item right there.
My last point, and then Amanda, it's all yours, is just there's people looking up to us and how we react and how we deal with these troubling times. And if we're the leaders, if we're the ones that go out there and say, yeah, it's tough, but here's what we're doing, I think a lot of people will appreciate that and will end up jumping on board with us.
Yep.
Yeah, I totally agree. The fact that, quite honestly, I got to connect with Scott this morning is a big deal for me. There's a lot of pros to what we're dealing with right now, honestly. And like you said, that Scott took right out of my mouth, that we're ambassadors right now, and people are looking to us to kind of see how we're handling things, and it's really important that we are staying active in one way or another. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, making the tennis videos or anything. Like Scott said, if it's even just showing members kind of what we're doing, during the day. I'm doing some different things right now that I'll probably end up sharing in the next couple weeks, because I've been going super hardcore in the tennis industry for the last 7 years, however long I've been in San Diego. So I've been using the time kind of to kind of take a break and do things that are a little different to what I've been normally doing. And I should be sharing them. So hopefully that, we can continue to be seen as those positive lights for people, and that things are going to be okay, and that we're going to be ready more than ever when we come back online.
Yeah, and I would say retain your sense of humor, and I don't think that that's something I'm ever going to lose. And
no, it's not.
No.
Because I've been to hell and back, and I've learned that all of this can end in an instant. I mean, sometimes at the end of every high school season, the kids are like, "Are you coming back next year?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I could get hit by a truck, So the afternoon's not guaranteed. Tomorrow's guaranteed, even less than that.
Right. I think that's a good point to end on.
And then misery is optional. but find out. I mean, be available to people who are in misery. You listen carefully to your people right now. I mean, I've recently heard someone use the word suicide in a conversation. That is a huge red flag. Yep. So, be incredibly sensitive to people's tone of voice and listen really well to them, because you might end up saving somebody's life.
Absolutely.
And if you are saying the same things over and over again, unless it's about what you're cooking and whether it's better than what Johan Creek is cooking, stop. All right.
CC Bellis has a cooking thing now on Instagram.
That's fair. All right, Bill and Scott, I gotta jump off, but this was an absolute pleasure. I look forward to talking to you guys more soon.
All right, thanks, Amanda.
We got it.
All right, Scott, bring it home. What's the final thought on this talk?
Yeah, just hang in there. Like we said, it's a tough time for all of us, but stay positive. Be a role model for those out there. Continue to communicate, because like you just said, Bill, there's a lot of people out there that are hurting, and we can be that ear for them and hopefully save a life if it gets to that. But begin to plan, begin to communicate, and get ready for when this all turns around.
All right. Hey, Scott, I'm honored that you came on, and too bad Amanda had to leave before we got to really say goodbye. And no, I appreciate the time, and how people can find you on Facebook, right?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook. You can always go to our site, which is premiertennisconsulting.com. Love to help any way I can. Right now, I'm just getting on the phone with people for free and letting them know how I can help. And let's come up with a plan. And if it goes further and we want to connect, we can do that too. But yeah, just hopefully we'll get out of this soon. So stay safe and healthy. That's the most important thing.
All right, very good. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. Goodbye.
Thanks, Bill.
Everybody on Instagram there. All right, take care, Scott.
All right, take care. We'll see. I'll be watching Emma next, right?
I'm gonna have to edit that one because we have.
Okay. All right. Take care.
But yeah, that'll pop up on YouTube. I'll put that around different places later this afternoon.
Okay. Cool.
All right. Take care.
Thanks, Bill.